It's recording.
And let me get my seat. And then we can begin. Okay, got it. Okay. Words are very powerful in the environment that they create, and then that ultimately leads to successes or failures. I saw this in my own life. As I said before, I played 3 sports in high school, but I saw this specifically with my cross country and swim coaches. My swim coach she was a mother, but she was very encouraging, and I didn't ever really believe in myself, but she did believe in me. She would always really encourage me and have me talk to her before my races, and I got really nervous, and she'd calm me down. And even when I had a bad race after, she'd be like, "It's okay, we can attribute that to this and that, and you'll be fine, move on." Very encouraging and very her words were really powerful. And then I did really well in swimming, and she and I was able to be really successful with it. But on the other hand, my cross country coach, he was really harsh, and he before races he'd be like, "Okay, you guys probably aren't gonna do so. We might lose to this team." So and it was in his mind it was to give us a reality check. But what it ended up doing to a lot of the girls, especially, they'd get really, really nervous, and one of the girls almost passed out before the race, and then they ended up not doing as well. So it was crazy to see just the drastic change between one coach to another, and the success and failure differences. And even though our cross country team was really, really talented, we usually didn't tend to go as far as we should, just because of all the stress you put on us, and the environment you created was just really, really negative. So I also saw this in my best friend. She was really, really smart, and all her life she had skipped her grade, and Harvard was her dream, and her parents encouraged her toward that. And in high school, she wasn't really friends with the group of smart kids, so people doubted her. And when she went to apply to schools, people were "Okay, you're not gonna get in, you don't really meet the requirements," and she's a basic girl, so it's she doesn't stand out by any means. And she was nervous going through the college application process, but she did, and people would always talk to her, and they'd be like, "There's no way you're gonna get in." And she's like, "Yes, I have the credentials, I can do this." And she'd the power of her words, she'd say "No," and she'd get very frustrated when people would be like, "No, you can't do it," and she's like, "I don't need all the negativity." And so she would just really focused her senior year, and she applied to 12 schools, got into 10 of the 12, got into Harvard, along with Yale and Princeton and all those other things. And she was but during the whole process, she was "Okay, I can do this." And even though students were "You don't have the requirements, you you haven't built up your resume as much." She wasn't the president of many clubs, but she was involved in a lot. And then you focused on the wrong things because she played sports as opposed to doing the academic side. And she did it, and ended up on a full ride at Notre Dame. So she was really happy about that. And just to see how far it took her, her words were really powerful. I've also just seen throughout my life the power of words, and just back to sports again, before and after races, when coaches are really positive, it encourages you to do well. And when my swim coach would be "You can beat her," I would it was really encouraging. And then I usually would, because I figured if someone else believed I could, then why couldn't I? But when my cross country coach would be "Okay, we might lose to this team, these girls might beat us," then when they run by you in a race, you don't have the motivation to go after them, because it's "Oh, they're supposed to be beating us, coach said that girl probably would." So it's just very powerful the way your words can shape an environment and lead to the successes and failures. Thank you. Great job. She had 4 minutes. 4 minutes? Okay. Thank you. Great job. Okay, if you guys want to take a second to fill that out, and yeah, that's it. You can head up this.
that have the power to build up or break apart an individual. In James 3:9-10, it says that sometimes it praises our Lord and Father, and sometimes it curses those who have been made in the image of God. And so blessings and curses come pouring out of the same mouth. So whether your words are used with the intent of good or not, they can be taken in a positive or negative way. They're the key to communication with the world around you, and they challenge us to think about the way that we react to the people around us. A few examples of positive words can be anything from, hey, you did a great job today, or something like, oh my gosh, I love your outfit, or just, hey, I've been praying for you. Anything like that. All of these examples paired with the proper nonverbal communication can be uplifting and encouraging to the person receiving the message. You showing them that you care about them and you see what's happening in their life and you want to know more. So hopefully everyone in this room has someone that tells them that they love them. These words have the power to uplift and encourage, and depending on the way that they're perceived, they can carry a range of meanings, and then they can be interpreted in a variety of ways. This is something that my family strives to do. We remind each other of this daily, whether it's like before we go to bed or at the end of a phone conversation. We just want to remind each other that we have a Creator that's loved us so much that He's blessed us with a family that wants to be around us and wouldn't give us up for anything. The simple phrase, I love you, can brighten someone's day, or it could even convince someone that their life is worth living. A few years ago, a friend of mine came to me and told me that she no longer wanted to live. She was struggling with depression, and she was being bullied, and she felt as if no one really cared about her or saw her anymore. And she told me she wanted to commit suicide. And all I could do in that moment was just hold her and just tell her how much I loved her and how much her Creator loves her, and I begged her not to take her life away. Without the words, I love you, this might not have been as effective. If I had chosen not to say these words, she may have chosen to end her life. So I urge you to think about how effective these words can be and how influential they are. Another point that I'd like to make is that the absence of words can have a powerful effect on the relationships in our lives. In the same instance with my friend, if I had chosen not to say those things to her and continued to let her believe that the world had forgotten about her, then she may have done something that was mortally damaging to our relationship. She may have chosen to end her life, and I would have lost one of the most important people in my life. Words also have the power to heal what's been broken and to restore what's been lost. I also struggled with depression early in my high school years. I struggled with the idea that I had no emotional attachment to anything. I struggled with the idea of not feeling like I had any meaning. And I felt like I was so distant from God, and I didn't know how to climb out of this pit of depression I'd fallen into. This lack of feeling was destructive to the relationships in my life, and because I chose not to communicate how I was feeling till it was too late, it damaged the relationships I had with my family, and it hurt my friends. But through the constant communication, intentional communication with my family, I was able to slowly take back the ground that I had lost during this time that I was struggling. And without the constant communication from them that I was loved, then I probably would have struggled longer and harder to get over this lie that my life was not worth anything. So, through all of these experiences, I've learned that words are influential, and they have the power to tear up and to build down the individuals hearing them. And they also challenge us to consider the effects that they have on others. I encourage you to think about how your words are affecting the individuals around you. Are you a friend or an enemy to the minds around you? And I encourage you to consider that no one else can speak for you, so I urge you to take advantage of this and to better the world around you. Thank you.
425.
Thank you.
words are extremely powerful and extremely important in our society because obviously that's how we communicate. And they can either be constructive or destructive in the ways we use them. So before I went to go write this speech, I started looking up different definitions of words because I thought it was fitting for this specific topic. And one definition that I came across that I really, really liked was that words in the definition that is a person's account on the truth. And I thought that was really powerful and really fitting for this speech because it's true. The way you speak in your words, those people interpret them and then that becomes their truth. And that truth to them can either be constructive in their life or destructive. And that's something I think we need to take into account. I've certainly experienced words where they have been constructive, and I've experienced words where they have been destructive. And then those have become the truths in my life. And I think it's important too, as Christians, how the way we talk and the way we just kind of present ourselves with our words, people can either see us as positive or negative. And then I definitely have examples of both destructive and constructive words in my life. So this is kind of like a positive situation, but destructive words kind of hindered the experience. My junior year of high school, I got captain of my field hockey team. It was totally unexpected. I got it over seniors. Did not expect this to happen, but it was a really big honor. And I kind of tried to act like I knew what I was going to do because my team voted for me. I wasn't expecting it. And then I just started leading these girls the best way I knew how, the best I could, kind of fake it till you make it type thing. And I acted like I wasn't nervous. But one day, we were playing a really tough game, our rival, and we lost. And at the end of my game, my coach asked me that I could go stop by her office the next day. And I said, of course, thinking it was just we would talk about the game, maybe there would be a captain on practice, and she kind of wanted to tell me the drills. But no, she sat me down and said, Corryn, you don't get angry enough during games. Your leadership's not effective because you don't get angry. And she's like, I just want to let you know, I wouldn't have made you captain. Your team made you captain. So I'm disappointed in you. You need to lead with more anger, and you need to get upset on the field. And she just totally just kind of bashed me. And it was really destructive and really discouraging and really disheartening. And there we just see the power of words like, you just need to be careful. Maybe I needed to be more intense. I don't know. I don't think angry was the best word. Maybe it was. But that's one example of how in my life I've seen words be destructive. But they've definitely been constructive too. And words don't just have to be constructive through speech, but also through literature and stuff like that. So another thing about me, I'm a control freak. I'll admit it. I really love to plan. I have an unhealthy attachment to my agenda. And when things don't go accordingly, it can be really stressful for me, whether that's just getting sick or something I don't plan, that just stresses me out. And my senior year of high school, God was really trying to teach me how to let go and let God. And I really resisted that, but through a devotional called Jesus Calling Sarah Young, there's a quote that says, although self-sufficiency is a claim to the world, reliance on God produces abundant living in His kingdom. And that just kind of really humbled me. And that's an example how not just words, but words in a book or a devotion just were really constructive in my life. So words are people's truths, and we need to be careful and mindful that that's how they interpret them. Thank you.
For those of you who don't remember, my name is Dalton, Reese, and of course I'm here at Zody. Words, as a child to me, meant different than they did when I became a senior in high school and a junior in high school. They just took a whole different meaning. As a child, when you hear the word finish, you think yeah, well, I've got this assignment here, and I'm gonna go outside and play with my friends, and then I'll come back and finish it. Finishing had a different meaning when I was little. However, when it comes to me, as a senior in high school in March, I got a job working at JBC Corporation, which is a local company back home. We work with Saudi Arabia people and other people in the military. We pack IPACs and such, and we pack pigs and such. So when I first started, I had the mentality of, I have to be able to finish certain things in a certain amount of time, because my boss, even though he was a family friend of mine, he didn't really take work very lightly at all. I mean, work was, you need to go in, you need to finish, and there were some days where we didn't have work. The days when we did have work, you needed to go in, you needed to finish, get everything done, so that way if we didn't have work, we didn't have to come in the next day, which was always a great idea. So finishing took a different meaning from, just doing this assignment later and I'll come back to it, to I need to finish this now in order to build my character and to get paid and to keep my boss happy in order to keep my job. The second way that words are different for me than as a child, as a young adult now, is the word faith. Growing up, I knew that God existed. I was raised as a Baptist in a Christian home. I went to church whenever I could, and I just believed that God was looking out for me, whatever I had in my life going on at that moment. But as I started to mature and as I got older, I realized that faith had a deeper meaning than what it just was there. I knew faith for me got me through a lot of rough spots in my life. In 2007, my great grandma passed away, and she was a big meaning in my life. And then the following year, my great grandfather passed away. So that was a tough time for me and my parents to go through as a 7 or 8 year old. And eventually, as I got older, I realized that once you leave, it's not you just gone, you don't exist anymore. I know that there's heaven and that God is up there, and that as long as you keep faith in your life, you're able to do whatever you need to do. And the third way that I feel that words have changed over the course of time from my childhood into my young adult life is the word fight. I mean, fighting when you were little meant that you actually got into physical contact with somebody, you hit somebody or stuff like that. As a child, that's what you say. But as I got older, I realized that you have to fight for certain things in life that you want. So as a personal example, for me, when I was a junior in high school, I auditioned for drumline, and I knew that I was going to have to fight to get that spot on the drumline. So continuously I fought and I fought and I fought. I got the spot, and I did the same thing throughout senior year and the same thing here freshman year. And even though you make that spot, that doesn't mean you can just stop and relax and you have everything done. You have to continue to fight. If you continue to fight, you will guarantee yourself an opportunity to make the drumline again the next year, and the next year, and the next year. So as long as you keep fighting for whatever you want and whatever you believe in, you can do whatever you want. So the three words to me that have really kept me going are the words to finish, to fight, and to, above all, have faith in God and to be able to think that I can do whatever I want as long as I'm with Him. Thank you. Horrible. You good?
Like shoes.
Sir.
Sorry, what?
For like 2.5 years of it, but Vans. I like Reese too, Sydney.
Thank you.
I'm not shoe freaks though. I'm just Vans.
They are. I have some high top crayons.
I love Vans. They're so good.
Okay, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead. I got it. It's good.
All right. Awesome. Words are a complicated thing, yet fascinating thing God has given us. God you can really tell this by just maybe an unwelcome gossip or a friend or a healing word of a close friend. You can hear this throughout the hallways. You hear what people say, the power of their words. I guess God really had it right in Proverbs 15:23. A person finds joy in giving an apt reply, and how good is a timely word. And that's really true, because the power of words is not something to be taken lightly. We can use them either to bring others up in encouragement and restoration, or to tear others down to their discouragement and defeat. And I guess that really brings into my first story. I played soccer at LCA for the last 4 years of my high school, and when I started out, I wasn't, I guess, the best player on the team, wasn't the brightest light bulb. And we had a practice, and it was a summer conditioning practice, and it's kind of different than your normal everyday practice. You think you've maybe just a few drills and a scrimmage for the rest of practice, but no. This was midsummer, Coach Moon, 95-degree soccer practice extravaganza. You will know it if you see it. Running out there, and pretty much by halfway through practice, the only thing you can really hear is your coach just yelling at the next man to go do the drill. And it was my turn to do drill. And by this time in practice, it wasn't my best practice, so I kind of needed to help myself out, start doing better. It's my turn to go. Pass the ball, just a 3-man weave drill. We've done this hundreds of times, should be easy. Pass the ball, and I go to the far corner, because that's what you do. Far corner, the guy hits it, one-touch shot in. Simple. Ball was coming, and I swing to hit it. The ball knocks off my cleat and out of play. I'm like, great. I kind of wanted to do good on this, because everybody's watching. You're like, oh no. And then you start to hear the faint snickering of your teammates. Now, usually you can just ignore that, that's fine. But what really got me is when my coach said, no, that's not what we want here. And I was like, when you're an underclassman, especially a freshman, that takes a lot out of you. It's discouraging. It's the power of his words really just brought my self-confidence down the most. And by the end of that practice, I'm just like, wow, that really does suck, It's just like the public humiliation is one thing, but when it's your coach, just the power of his words alone can really bring discouragement. So that's my discouragement example, but I guess on the opposite side of the spectrum, words can also be encouraging and they can be uplifting, and the power of words, that's just the greatest power. I was at a student life camp this past summer, and usually these camps are pretty big, around 3,000 students. So we get big name Bible teachers like David Nasser or Louis Giglio, Matt Chandler, and they have great quotes. And I wish I could show you all the wisdom that we learned throughout this week. But just a few other quotes that I just wanted to write down that were just such an influence to me. I said you can't have one foot in the world and one in Christ. So you have to pick one or the other. You can't just be lukewarm as a Christian. And for me, at that point in the summer, I knew I was saved, but I really needed to talk about it. I need to say, what does a true Christian look like? What should I do? Because faith without works is dead, and we all know that from James. And another quote is, if I have no desire or inkling to follow God or do his work, then how can I call myself a Christian? You know a Christian by his fruit. And I wish I could show you all, but just one more quote was, love that causes discipline, not discipline that causes love. And for God. And I was like, wow, we should love God and do what he says because what he's done for us in the first place. Not, I'm going to obey God and do what he says because I hate being disciplined by him. If you really truly love God, then you'll truly do what he asks you to do. And so do not do what God wants you to do in a begrudgingly manner, or I have to do what God wants me to do again. So, and I guess the power of words can really encourage or discourage, and we all know that. And Proverbs 12:18 says, there is one whose rash words are like sword thrusts, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. And through that camp, God just spoke through those speakers, and the power of their words really brought encouragement to my faith. Thank you.
Great job, everyone.